What's up YouTube, Capital G here, checking out a brand new Link monster that just got revealed in Cybernetic Horizon. I am almost certain that this is part of a brand new archetype, and it's really interesting, right? When it comes to Cybernetic Horizon, Konami has revealed a bunch of cards in this set, and we know about a whole lot of legacy support, whether it's the new Demise cards, Cyber Dragon cards, we got a bunch of Dragunity cards that are coming out in this set, and because of the TCG press release, we know that we're going to be getting some Neo-Spacian support as well. I think there's also going to be some Noble Knight stuff in here, maybe like one or two new Noble Knight cards, but we haven't gotten any information on a brand new archetype, right? Like we haven't learned about anything like Mythical Beasts or Altergeist or, any like brand new premier archetype crawlers or Mech Knights, etc. And I'm kind of wondering when we're going to get information on that. I'm pretty sure that this is going to be one of, or maybe the boss monster for this new archetype. So this is Archlord Palladion, and at first I thought it was just like a counter fairy card or something like that. I was like, oh snap, we're getting a counter fairy Link. No, this is something completely different. It's a Link 3 Light Cybers type monster, 2000 attack, and it has the Decode Talker Link points, which are up towards your opponent, bottom right and bottom left. The materials for this guy are, I don't think they're really that, like it sounds difficult, but I don't think it's actually that difficult at all. The materials are 2 or more effect monsters, including a Link monster. The reason that I say that that's not really that difficult is if you look at Ningirasu, right? Like people make Ningirasu pretty frequently. A lot of times it is off Scapegoat, but people make Ningirasu fairly often. And I mean, Ningirasu requires 2 Link monsters, and it doesn't seem like anyone's really complaining about making that card anymore, especially considering when we have like Link 1s, like Link Karibo, that can be like summoned from the graveyard and whatnot. I don't think that, a Link 3 that requires 1 Link is really all that difficult. Let's see. This guy has 3 different effects. The first effect says this card gains attack equal to the original attack of monsters it points to. Okay, so this is kind of like the Altergeist Hextia effect, where Hextia will gain attack equivalent to the original attack of any Altergeist monster she points to. Speaking from someone who plays Altergeist, I'm telling you that effect is, it might not sound like really good on paper, but it's like fucking amazing. When you can have this card on the field and you can just normal summon like an 1800 attack monster to its link point, and then it jumps up to like almost 4000 attack, and you're running over like, Masterpiece and Borreloads and stuff like that, it's very legitimate. Oh, by the way, I think I missed that this card is 2000 base attack. Generally, when you get that first effect of your monster gaining original attack, they're not going to make the monster that, like, they're not going to make it that stacked, because basically they just want you to link summon something with it. And also, this guy points up towards your opponent, so if your opponent happens to have a monster that is in that same column, they can really screw themselves up. I mean, we think about summoning Decode Talker and just getting 500 attack off your opponent's monster. I mean, imagine getting like 2300 off like your opponent's Mech Knight or something like that. The second effect says monsters this card points to cannot attack. That seems like it can actually be a good and a bad thing. You think immediately, oh Cap, I want to be able to attack with my monsters, but again, you have to consider the fact that you can summon this in the same column as a monster your opponent controls, and then you might end up locking their Skull Dread out from like being able to do anything in the battle phase. So it's a good and a bad thing. I think that honestly, it seems like it's kind of worth the trade, because you're still gaining the damage somewhere. Like you lose it on the back end, but you still get it on the front end, considering yes, your monster ends up not being able to attack, but it's fine because you gain attack of the monster in this guy, so it's fine. The third effect is actually pretty good, although the first time I read it I was like underwhelming, but then I thought of it in context and I started to like it more. Once per turn, quick effect, you contribute 1 Palladion, and that's why I think that this is a new archetype or World Legacy monster you control that points to this card, or excuse me, that this card points to. Then target 1 face-up card your opponent controls until the end of the turn. That card's effects are negated. So basically, this is essentially a Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss effect. This is actually really good if you don't know what that card does, because it's not just cards that are, like field spells or monsters. It can basically be used against any like normal spell card. If your opponent activates Pot of Desires, it is on the field. All you have to do is activate this guy's effect, launch your monster, and then you get to negate the desires, and obviously the card ends up fizzling, and your opponent doesn't really get anything out of it. And I'm thinking, would I give up one of my monsters and obviously essentially some attack to negate an important spell that my opponent wants to use, something like a Monster Reborn, a Scapegoat, Pot of Desires, Terraforming, cards that are going to get them extremely powerful plays. Like, hell yeah, I would, especially if I have multiple monsters on my side of the field that are linked to this. The fact that this says that it contribute a Palladion monster means that, like, it's pretty much confirmation at that point. We're getting a new archetype, and this is going to be either the boss monster of the archetype or one of the boss monsters. I mean, to me, this seems like a fundamentally solid card. It's a freaking juggernaut because chances are you're going to summon it. It's not going to be 2000 attack for long. It does have a level of negation on it, much like Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. I like that. The fact that the monsters it points to can attack, I don't really care about that. It doesn't really seem all that bad. And the artwork of it looks really nice. It's an ultra rare, which again leads me to believe that it's kind of like the boss monster of a new archetype. So I think we'll probably know a little more about how good and how easy this card is to summon once we find out more about that archetype. But so far I think that it's a solid monster. So you guys let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already. Turn on that notification bell for daily videos.